Simon, very welcome here with Playbook Capital in The Hague.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you for coming. We are currently discussing the Groupe Routin and how you, as Argos, employ ESG principles within the management and management of the company.
Thank you.
How does it work with you?
Thank you very much for hosting me today and for hosting us, the whole team. I'm very happy to talk about Groupe Routin, and we will be very happy to present our ESG strategy and how we make it work in practice on the portfolio companies today. What's interesting, very interesting in this case of Groupe Routin, I think, is that the ESG you're talking about is really embedded in the company's strategy. It's a core pillar of the value creation, and I think we will talk about it in details today.
Was that also the reason why you were particularly interested in this company?
Absolutely. When we first met Loïc Couillou is the CEO of Groupe Routin, together with my partner Sandra, we were very much impressed about the journey they had already done about ESG. They are and they were an ESG leader. They were EcoVadis Platinum, B Corp certified, SBTi committed, and they were very conscious with a deep ESG culture. But we also saw something different, something we could bring to them. We saw that there was untapped potential, both on the growth trajectory and on the environmental transition, and that we could really help them to go a step forward.
This is very interesting. So you have, with Groupe Routin, you have a company which is both a leader,
yes,
and does have untapped potential, which you would like to unearth.
Absolutely.
Could you delve a little bit more in that untapped potential? What did you think was untapped?
Of course. Let me give you a short example. A carbon footprint, you know, it's composed of 3 scopes. Scope 1 and 2, let's say it's the direct carbon emissions of the company, and scope 3, it's the indirect emissions, so all the suppliers, what the company purchases, the client's emission, etc. They had worked a lot in the past to reduce their energy consumption, their energy efficiency in the factory, and that has reduced a lot their scope 1 and 2. And when we met them, we have seen all these efforts. They are a leader in that field, but the scope 3, all the indirect emission, all the supply chain, all the transport, the packaging, the raw materials were untapped. And when we met them, 98% of their carbon emissions came from this scope 3. So that's where we see that there was a big potential to reduce and to go one step further in the journey of the environmental transition.
Right. This sounds very interesting. Could you elaborate a little bit more on what this tapping of the scope 3 brings the company? It would not only bring cost reduction, I presume, but it will bring some other benefits as well.
Yes. It's first solving a bit a paradox. A company which is a leader in the environmental field should tap 360 degrees its carbon footprint. So we were helping them first to be conscious and then to work on their whole scope to be able to claim that to their suppliers, to their clients. We are the most sustainable company in our market. And for this, the energy consumption of the factory, it's important, but also the raw materials they purchase, how they make them come to the company, how they deliver product to the client, how their bottles, the packaging is made. All this should be as sustainable as their image. And with our plan, with what we are doing today, we are aligning everyone in the company, the management, the employees, the investors, towards a fully sustainable journey.
If you look at ESG, because it's a broad principle, also you have talked at length over the environmental, but we also have a social and a governance side. Did it also have untapped potential on that team?
Their governance was very, very mature. I think that's one of the field where they were already a leader. In 2018, so a long time ago, they started a full company program called Shake Your Talents, and that's talents. That's the program which shapes their whole ESG strategy. So they had already a pre-made ESG strategy where we helped them. It was really to make the link between this program which was a program not only for top management, also for employees, also to embark their suppliers, also to talk to their clients, but to make the link with the financial value creation. And I think that's where we help them to build this around Shake Your Talents program, ESG, social governance, and decarbonization to make the product more sustainable in a visible way.
And what did, what effect did it have on the company position? Cost reduction, I presume, but also some other benefits which we don't see that readily.
Cost reduction on some areas for sure, but I don't think it's the main benefit. As you said, I think the main benefit is outside, is on the impact of this strategy, especially in its market. The whole purpose of our fund is to shape sustainable leaders. We want, through environmental transition, through decarbonization, give the company a competitive advantage. And that's what they are doing right now. That's what they are achieving. They are number 4 in the market worldwide, but they are number 1 in sustainability image, in sustainability of their products. And the clients are starting to feel it. So it helps not only for the image of the company, it helps not only for the cost reduction, not only for retaining the talents, it helps to get market share, to make more growth. And when you asked in the beginning why we have chosen this company, it's because they had a path for a stronger growth in the future, they had a path for an accelerated environmental transition, and both could work together. And we help them make this work together.
Concentrate on Groupe Routin, where we want, as an investor, we would like to see impact on sustainability, on the company itself. You're sketching a leader sustainability. Does it have a wider impact across all other companies in its value chain, so maybe even they are beyond that?
Absolutely, and especially because the company and Routin is working a lot on its supply chain. We are in the agri-food sector. It's a supply chain which is complex and which comes from the farmer farming the agricultural raw materials to the end customers. An end customer who is drinking, for instance, a caramel latte macchiato with Routin's product in it. Yeah. And on each segment of the value chain, Routin can have an impact. And that's what we are shaping with them. I'll give you a very small example, but very telling. One of the most decarbonizing action that we are pursuing is to source sugar which is better grown, fair trade labeled, from the right geography with the right agricultural practices. And those right agricultural practices, they help on decarbonization, because the sugar we purchase is less carbon intensive, but not only that. The social practices for the farmers are better. The water consumption is lower, fertilizer use is lower, so there is biodiversity benefits are there also on the ground. So there is a lot of co-benefits when we work on decarbonization, not only reducing carbon emission, but a wider purpose.
I think it's a very attractive example what you do, because you start at the very beginning of the value chain, the farmer.
Yes.
And the farmer has to change his practices also. Groupe Routin has really realized this. Do I hear that correctly?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a process. We talked a bit about how we made them conscious of that by embarking them into our strategy, shaping them as a sustainable leader. And they realized they could have an influence on their supplier. Mm-hmm. Let's keep the example of sugar. The sugar companies are big companies, worldwide corporates. We could influence them so that they make some move to have better practices with the farmers. The fair trade label we use is called Bon Sucro. And Bon Sucro is not only certifying that the sugar cane is well grown, they also certify Routin's factory with a very stringent audit to be sure that the sugar they use and what they claim on their product is right, that they use the right sugar from the right place, sourced with the right label.
So that is quite convincing. But then going over the value chain to the customer.
Yes.
And you already let's say, described it, the products of Groupe Routin are sometimes used in a cocktail.
Yes.
Does the customer really value that its ingredient in that whole package of an attractive cocktail comes from a sustainable source?
It's a very interesting question, because that's where there is really a split.
Yeah.
When we work on the value chain, we work on how the product is grown, we worked on the label, we worked on our carbon footprint. And this is not really how we advertise it to the customer. So if you, Albert, are in a coffee shop, I think we will not sell to you a more decarbonized cocktail or a more decarbonized latte coffee. What really brings you to buy the product is something different. For instance, we talk about natural products. We increase the share of the natural products in our recipes. We talk about our fair trade label. Everyone knows what the fair trade product is. So we use different arguments, but in the end, we talk about the same thing. The fair trade label for the customer doesn't know that there are water savings when the cane sugar is grown, or that biodiversity is more protected, but it resonates by him because he knows the label.
Right, and in the end, you also gain pricing power, I guess, or is that maybe a little bit too optimistic for me?
I think it's a bit too optimistic and too early.
Okay.
Our aim is not really to pass price increases by the customer. It's more that the customer, for instance, the bartender making the cocktail or the coffee, knows that Routin's product is more sustainable, and then prescribes to buy some beverage ingredients from Routin, because more natural products, because of the fair trade label, etc. In the end, maybe at the same price or very close price, but we gain market share. We gain stickiness by the customer, and we push the company's growth. So when we met the management team, we told them, we will not make you dream, you will not increase your prices by 30% because you work on your decarbonization roadmap. But you will see there will be a lot of benefits in your market, you will build the competitive advantage, you will win market share. And that's what we push.
Just go a little bit further before going over you as a catalyst, but just explore a little bit more the environmental stake you take. It was, as you would describe it, it was actually very close by. It's almost logical. Why didn't the company itself thought of this?
Interesting point of view. I think they needed support. They started to move as a front runner in the market, in front runner for sustainability and ESG. Why? Because they were themselves convinced that it was the right thing to do. So they built this Shake Your Talents program. They built these ESG-wide policies. 110 employees, not managers, employees in the factory, in the sales teams, etc., are responsible for ESG actions. So it's a deep ESG culture, but it was by conviction. I think when they met Sandra and myself, and when they understood the potential of our investment strategy, they understood that they were supported by a shareholder who wanted them to bring a financial benefit out of it, to measure it, to push it, to invest where is the best ROI for every sustainability initiative. So we were the first people they met. We really told them a business plan for us. It's not only a financial roadmap, it's the financial and an environmental transition roadmap. And we will prove to you that by going further and faster in the sustainability, you will make more money.
Right, so maybe take us a little, in your role as Catholic investor, take us through the actual conversations.
Yes.
If you have conversations, with whom are you talking as an equity investor?
Yes.
Only the CEO, or is that in the broad company?
I talk about this first meeting with the CEO because it's usually the first contact, and it's the first chance to make a good impression and the first discussion. But then very quickly we saw that it was not only him who was driving the sustainability. He really managed to create a whole team around it and to embark the whole executive committee into that strategic roadmap. So at excom level, let's say, it's embedded in the strategy of the company. On the N-1 manager layer, then it's also embedded in their work because they are incentivized. So all of them, all the managers have sustainability linked bonus based on ESG initiatives.
And did you influence that bonus? Or?
That was in place before we arrived. That was part of their deep ESG culture. And also when we go to all employees, as I said, 110 employees are driving actions. And the results, the measured results of these actions, this is the KPI on which also profit sharing is partly based. So all the employees are benefiting from it. So this was, we were not talking to the CEO, we were talking about to everyone in the company who was fully embarked already. And
then you enter in a company which is already deeply actually convinced that sustainability is absolutely a very important theme. How do they respond to you?
They are very curious because they come and they know that they are already some kind of a sustainability leader in the market, but they don't know where is the untapped potential. But when they realized it, when they realized that they could get much further on the decarbonization, and that they should and they could gain some financial benefits out of it, they were very motivated. In the end, you know, a deal sometimes when we acquire a company, it's a competitive process. In the end, they had two offers on the table. Ours, another one, fully financed, around the same price. They choose us because of this. They choose us because of the sustainability gains that they could have in our business plan, that they saw that they will get more value by going in this direction with us. So they saw that they could accelerate, and they choose us, and we chose them.
Stepping outside of the Groupe Routin, do you also encounter companies which are complete opposite, which have great financial control and insight, but lack sustainability insights?
Yes, we do, very often. I must say that the usual suspect, the usual case of the management teams we encounter, they are not as mature as Routin's is. They are maybe less mature on ESG topics, but it's not a problem for us. We are an environmental transition fund. We are here to help them make the transition. What we need is people who are convinced, who want to move, but they don't need to be ESG champion in the beginning. They need to embark in a journey where we will make, together with them, their company a sustainable leader in their market. And sometimes they don't know anything about ESG. They know something about decarbonization, but not about the rest. Or they know something about water and biodiversity, but they don't really know anything about carbon. But we work with them. We train each other. We bring them our methodology, our targets, our tools, our ecosystem, and all this. They are convinced in the end, and they should be convinced when we invest, before we invest, that it will create more value going with us than going with the generalist fund.
Right, so you have actually a dual skill. You bring financial acumen, and you have a deep sustainability chain, like insight.
Absolutely.
How is that in your company organized? Is everyone bilingual, so speaks both languages, or do you have experts?
We made this choice in the very beginning, and we discussed that even before launching the fund. And we were all aligned. Sandra, myself, our 4 other partners, we were all aligned and had all the same answers. We should speak both languages. Every one of us should be able to be as acumen on the financial side and on the environmental transition side. And for us, it's very important. We don't want to separate ESG, decarbonization, environmental transition as a whole from the financial roadmap, from the business plan. It's embedded. Of course, as every fund, we have a structured ESG practice. We have Jessica, our head of ESG, who is very much helping us on the roadmaps of the companies. But we are working together as a team. And when we go in front of a management team, everyone in the team can speak the same language, both languages, environmental and financial.
It's quite a skill, Simon.
It's what makes the job interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to ask, of course, if you have those two companies, the one sustainable leader,
Yes.
financially a little bit less, and the other one just the opposite,
Yes.
and you look at the delta of the financial support, financial performance of these companies over, say, 5 years, is there a difference?
Yes, yes, there is. We see, with our funds, we are here to prove that the environmental transition will make financial benefits and will make long-term financial benefits, because when the company has established all the competitive advantage, the entry barriers are really high.
Yeah.
Today, if you take Routin's example, if a competitor were to come at the same level of ESG maturity, deep culture, and also decarbonization actions, it would take years. So they already have a competitive advantage, and we leverage on it with our first actions, and we leverage on it to, let's say, widen the gap with the competition. But I must say something. It doesn't mean that a company which is at the beginning not as good as Routin in ESG is a wrong candidate for our fund. We know that some companies, they have a huge progress to make, but by making this progress, we will have a very good financial case, because there will be a lot of potential to tap. What we don't tap with our fund are the companies which are already the greenest. But we've seen the companies in the market. There are not many companies which are already the greenest in the market. Most of the companies, they need support from investors like us, from shareholders like us, from investors in the funds like you, really to accompany this transition movement. The whole economy has to transition. There is a lot of untapped potential.
So if I summarize, the top leaders is not one of your prime targets, actually.
If they don't have any potential left.
Yeah.
But take Routin's example. They were seeing them as a top leader in ESG, and in decarbonization, they had a lot of untapped potential. So that exists.
Just go maybe to that untapped potential you have mentioned quite a few times.
Yes.
What signals actually do you identify to see, hey, this is a very interesting company on this aspect?
So that is our secret recipe. But I can share a few things about it.
Yes, please. Yes.
So the secret for us is to start to look at this very early. Most of the funds, they are starting to make carbon footprints, to implement ESG actions or decarbonization actions once they have invested in the company. We have built the methodology, the tools and the expertise to look at this at day one when we first receive the 50 pages memo presenting the company. So we can already screen it, detect some potential, see if this will fit or not our target. At first is a rough estimate, and then we precise it with our tools and methodology. So when we make our first offer, we still have a very good view of where we want to make the company go for decarbonization. Will it or not meet our 7.5% per year carbon intensity decrease target? And when we go into due diligence, so auditing the company inside out before investing, at the end of this process, we know exactly where we want to bring them. We have an environmental business plan, which is as robust as our financial business plan. And I think that's the key to not to make any mistake, because for us, both dimensions are equally important.
But could you give us maybe one example of a signal which you think, well, that's something I notify?
Yes. Usually, if you take the example of Routin, it's an extreme example. 98% of the emissions were coming from the indirect emission, the scope 3. And we know when a company has a lot of purchases, for instance, in its cost structure, so we tackle this from the financial side. This company is purchasing a lot by many suppliers, and they don't really know what the carbon footprint of the carbon intensity of this supply landscape is. They don't have data from the suppliers. There we know there is something to do. because usually when they start measuring it, rating it, and building the ROI of their actions, also on sustainability. Let's say you have you are at BB Capital, you are purchasing some paper. Do you know the carbon footprint of your supplier of paper? Maybe, maybe not. If it's a large share of your purchases, if you don't know what their carbon footprint is, there is surely untapped potential. That's one of the signals. There are many, many, many others, but that's where the methodology can start.
Well, that's a positive signals. Do you also carry negative signals?
Yes, for instance, and this happens, I would say it's a minority of the cases, but sometimes we see companies that have no levers on their purchases. That very rapidly, let's take back the Routin's example, one of the main raw materials they purchase is sugar. We talked about fair trade sugar, the certified labels, etc. If they haven't had any lever on their sugar purchases, I think we couldn't have decarbonized the company as much as we are doing.
Okay.
It means that when we are looking at something, we don't only measure the carbon emissions from the purchases, we also look at, is it possible realistically to decarbonize? How much does it cost?
Yeah.
Do we have levers over the suppliers? Can we convince them? Can we embark them? At Routin's, we knew that switching the geography of the cane sugar could have a big impact on its carbon intensity. So we knew there was a lever that we could activate. If we purchase cane sugar from Mauritius, it's less decarbonized than cane sugar from Brazil. That's the first step, and then we enter in the fair trade label, etc., etc.
It's a good example. But again, ESG is broader.
Yes.
Do you also have signals, for instance, for the social side or the governance side?
Yes, our fund, or the sustainable objective of our fund, is primarily decarbonization. And we chose that because for a few reasons. First reason is that it's measurable. We can quantify it. We know scientifically the levers to reduce the carbon footprints of a company. And also, three, because it embarks co-benefits. We talked about social benefits of better growing sugarcane, for instance. But then we have safeguards. We would not, and we would never do an investment in a company which can decarbonize, but which is, for instance, polluting water nearby the factory, or having really, really bad social practices. So when we evaluate a company, we evaluate the decarbonization potential, but we also evaluate that we should not significantly harm on any other investment objective, and that we should push the company to make progress on all the rest of the ESG KPIs, which is very broad. It's a lot of work, but it brings also value in the end.
So quite a different signals actually, but your expertise is mostly connected to the environmental side. I already talked about how the management team was initially responding to your approach, and they choose you. Looking at it now, you're now for a few years on board.
Yes.
Do we have still room to grow on the environmental side, or more on the energy?
Yes, we still have room to grow. When we have built the plan from the very beginning, we have seen that it's a 5-year plan. So everything will not be done in 1 year. We have done a lot of actions already. Now we are a bit more than 1.5 years down the road. We have seen results, we have measured them, we have compared them to the trajectory. Fortunately, the first year we are even ahead of our target, so that's good news. But it's a constant work to adapt the plan and to make them grow. There are initiatives, for instance, that we know we will tackle in 2 years, in 1 or 2 years. We talked a lot about cane sugar, but there is also a lot of beet sugar that is used for other Routin's products. For beet sugar, the company has started to embark regenerative agriculture programs, but we know that the benefits will come only in 2 or 3 years from now. We have to start the initiatives early, and we know that some results will come in a few years. And we have many other examples. So an environmental business plan, it's like a financial business plan. We cannot do everything in the first year. We have to phase the action to be on target every year and to have a new potential tapped every year.
Could you imagine a case whereby you, for instance, after having several years with the company, say my work is done?
That would be great. I would be very happy.
But it's still, like I said, all the environment evolves, the competition evolves, the taste of the customers evolves. I think you can be working on environmental and social factors your whole life.
Yes. What we would be proud of, when we complete our cycle, when we have done our business plan, or let's say 4 years, 5 years of investment, we have tackled the biggest, in the 80-20 kind of reasoning, we have tackled the biggest carbon initiatives. Because that's something that lives then almost forever. If you change the sourcing of the company, if they source regenerative beet sugar, fair trade cane sugar, this is for the 5 next years, it's done, it's settled. After us, the company is a living thing, everything will move.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Just to close it off, you have been actually working with Groupe Routin, and actually a sustainability leader, and you assured me that the sustainability character is within the company very much embedded.
Yes.
But still, suppose a takeover from a company which is not interested at all in sustainability. Would you consider such a takeover?
I think this will not happen for one very good reason, that all the investment we have made, the strategy we have built around the sustainability, now it's embedded in them. As you said, it was embedded in their culture. We triggered other actions, we made them tap a lot of potential, but it's by the people themselves. They know their company, that's how they work. And if someone who is willing to give the right price for this company when we exit, when we sell the company to the next one, is someone who will value all what we have done, who will give some price to this competitive advantage that we have built in the market. We have spent years to build a sustainable competitive advantage. We are very much convinced this will give a price premium for the company as a whole in the end. So naturally, it will attract buyers who want to still benefit from it, because we will have proven that this works, that this brings financial benefits, and that they will be bought by the next one.
It's a very good legacy, Simon. Thank you very much.
That's what we are working for.
I'm at the end of my questions, but do you have something maybe to add which I forgot to ask you?
No, thank you very much. It was a very rich interview. I hope you have seen also the passion we have at making our job, as pushing both the financial value and the environmental value, and be assured that we are all very aligned. I think the investors who are trusting us for deploying the funds, that's what they are looking for when they invest in us. And when we select companies, we select the management teams and that want to move forward and to benefit from it. So we have convinced people all around the chain, and that's what's very exciting.
Your enthusiasm is very evident. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.